Yes, hello tradies, Season 3, Episode 9. We are building up to the live show at St Andrews Brewery at Melbourne Park, the only place to be before a game at the G this season. Mitch and I were there on Sunday speaking to some big tradies fans, and we'll be there again on Saturday.
Cannot
Tickets
wait.
Still available. So just confirming with everyone, because I know people like to do this late. 5 o'clock doors open. It's $10 for a ticket. You get a pot of St Andrews Brewery of your choice. Lots of different beers. Apprentice, my choice. On entry, so it's basically free. We start at 5:30. We'll go for about an hour. There's prizes on offer, and we'll walk to the G afterwards, which is about 3.5 minutes.
7:31 we'll be able to leave the brewery and head over to the G.
What time's it go? 7:40.
7:35.
Okay. I mean, it's cutting it quite fine to get in, to get your seat.
Well,
as
it's only a 4-minute walk.
Yeah, maybe 7:28. I'm just leave a little bit of time to get into the G, particularly with the new security measures. Welcome to you, Mitchell.
I actually caught the tram from the new Channel 7 building last week to the brewery, and it took me 17 minutes.
Channel 7 have a new building.
Yes.
Hello.
It's
I thought they had no money.
no, plenty of room to move down there at 7.
Spent all the money on your contract.
No, it's very posh building. So
I've heard it's very nice.
How are you? I did watch you last night. I felt you were a bit preoccupied. The WhatsApps were coming through at 1 a.m. Are you everything okay?
Yes. What did I not look?
No, you just looked a little bit like you had your mind on this morning. You were sending through movie references at 1:30. I got up to go to the toilet at
I can't sleep
3 o'clock.
I can't sleep on Mondays. You know this. I'm not sure if you actually picked up on this or not, and I'm hoping no one did. But I did myself a little bit of an injury yesterday in the middle of the day, and I did something to my neck, and I actually couldn't.
Do you know what? When you were turning to like Lordo last night, I was like, because I had a sniff. I was a bit crook last week. I don't know if you picked up through the show, and I slept on the couch one night.
Why'd you sleep on the couch?
Because I didn't want to get Kate sick.
Or did Kate make you sleep on the couch?
No,
that's an investigation for another time.
I put my hand up. Okay. I slept on the couch, and I had the exact same thing because my neck was stiff for 2 days. And turning to left or right, even like to pull out of driving out of home, is tight.
Sorry.
Jeez, it's like Christmas music.
Cut that out, Scotty.
What was that? No, that's staying in. That was mid-sentence there.
Well, no, because I did a neck injury. I'm still actually very sore at the moment. I feel like an old man. And I said to Lloydie when we got to the desk, because he's on my left.
Yep.
I said, when I turn to you, like it's going to look weird because I can't turn. Like I'll have to swivel in my chair because I can't turn left. And it reminded me of this.
When all he had to do was turn left.
What do you mean?
I'm not an ambi-turner. It's a problem I had since I was a baby. I can't turn left.
Derek, that's nothing to be ashamed of. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who can't turn... I mean, there have got to be some people out there just like you who can't turn left.
Do you know where my mind went with that? There was a clip from the Channel 7 Full Sweat doco with Hawthorn in the preseason where Sam Mitchell said we had to work with Massimo D'Ambrosio because he could only turn left. So do you remember watching? Did you watch it?
At some point I watched it, yes.
Yeah, great preseason.
Was it?
Oh, unbelievable.
If it had been on Channel 9, would you be saying the same thing?
Yeah, it was a great addition.
Company man. Working on that screenplay.
And they had to work on him because he was too one-sided. So that's when I think of when I hear a movie clip like that, that's where my mind went.
I can't turn left. How's your week, been?
Great. It was good to see you on Sunday.
From the weekend? Yes, Sunday was great.
John Carlton, did you stick around for the game?
Yeah. I went with my sister.
You didn't leave early or leave your friends like you normally do when Carlton are getting done?
But they weren't getting done.
That's what I mean.
They were winning.
Yeah, so you stuck around and sat with them.
So I stayed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Geelong were horrible.
And still somehow we're in the game with 10 minutes left.
It was the worst I've seen them play live for a long time.
Nothing really to report from my end.
Okay, great.
Can we just, before we move on and get into serious trade stuff, we didn't really delve into it last week. I was a bit blindsided because I read the back page of The Age and hadn't seen the front.
I was really hoping you'd forget.
Sam Remember last week, Scotty, we spoke about it, and I spoke about his little pick by line that he looks about 14 in, and there's all the Tassie stuff. I then stumbled across the online version, and there's a photo, which I'm sure we'll put up on our socials, of Sam in the Premier's office. It was one of the great bringing into the tent moments I've seen in some time. Here's Sam, who's led the chorus for so long on the Tassie Stadium. You've said it's going to be built in 2035. That did not come across in the article. Has the Premier got to you?
No. I'm offended by this.
There was no semblance of...
I'm an objective journalist. I have to write the facts. And I went down and interviewed him. I thought
Did you put the hard questions to him?
Absolutely I did. I'm allowed to separate my job of writing from opinion. I'm allowed to be two different people. Some people would say I am two different people.
Was he across what you'd said in the past? Like, had he been briefed?
I'm not sure.
So there was no animosity or there was no angst?
No animosity. The Premier recommended where I should go for lunch afterwards. was very, very friendly.
So we need to keep an eye out, traders community. Will Sam's view on Tassie be tempered off the back of this meeting?
Well, why don't you ask me? Well,
when's it going to be built?
I'm not sure it will be built.
No, this time 2 weeks ago it's never getting built.
I've never said that. You are using you're being cane corns.
Huh.
You're exaggerating. We'll get to cane later.
Give me a timeline
of the stadium.
You've been down there. You've been brought in.
Well, it has to go through Parliament, which will now be in July. It has to get through both houses of Parliament, upper and the lower house. So if it gets through, I think it'll get built.
When?
They're saying they want it to be built by mid-2030. So I'd say early 2032.
Okay. You still...
Yeah, you think I'll just, do one interview and I'll just change everything? Because I got an all expenses paid trip to Launceston?
Oh, was it all expenses?
No, we paid for it. The Age
good,
paid
good.
for it.
Independence, The Age prides itself on.
Don't start me on the company that you work for.
Go on, what?
No. I'm just let's not go down that path.
Okay.
Let's not go down.
I'm here, ready to go.
Are you? Yeah. Okay. Do you want to?
It was great. Great photo. You looked very casual. Nice little knit you were wearing.
Thank you. Scotch and soda, that knit was on sale. Do you want to get into the whiteboard?
Yeah, I've lost a man.
You have. Let's get into the HBF Dream Team whiteboard. There's a couple of big stories that I think are going to explode. It's going to be a big trade period. Mitch has had to... Oh, Scotty's already done it on the actual whiteboard.
Well, LDU hasn't been moved off yours yet.
Yeah, true. I guess I was holding out hope that he'd make a good decision. Sorry. We'll take him off. I'll take him off.
All we need is Sonia Hood to bring you into the office for a chat.
No, I want to.
The Premier, Jeremy Rockcliffe of Tasmania, has got you on side, so maybe Sonia could...
No, I don't do meetings.
I
don't do meetings with clubs.
Only Parliament.
Certainly not North Melbourne.
So, Chad, I reckon even Sydney would have conceded in October, November last year. They were at 50-50 at best to keep him.
Yep. I think you've been saying that.
Yeah, and I think if this turned in January, February, and then even the Eagles' start of the year, he might have realised this was a little bit further away. And going to the Eagles now wouldn't have helped his career at all, and as you've been saying. So I think the Eagles' start of the year, coupled with his brother re-signing in Sydney, his love for the city of Sydney, meant that it was an easy decision to sign for 2 more. He did the
smart decision.
Yeah,
smart footy.
And he's been paid pretty good money for the next 2 years.
I think it's $3 million, isn't it?
Close to that, I reckon. Yeah. So he would have got over the life of the deals that Fremantle and West Coast were offering. He's left money on the table, but he'll be able to make that up in free agency. And he signed for 2 more until 2027, which, Sam, as you know, Tassie is on the verge of coming in 2027.
Potentially.
So the market will be airborne in terms of these guys. You think the hit that the money has grown in the last couple of years? Well, wait till 2027 and a free agent like Chad Warner is on the market. He's going to be well paid, and he's going to be well paid the next 2 years as well. So it's a 2-year deal, takes him through to free agency. Watch this space on what happens next. But Sydney could not be happier. Even he admitted during the week that his form had potentially taken a hit through this. His start of the season wasn't as hot as his end of last year, and that was probably playing on his mind a bit, the contract.
Can I have a controversial opinion?
No, go ahead, for the first time.
No, so that's unfair. Can you hear that phone ring?
Yeah.
Hang on. Scotty's finally got the prop. You hear that ring?
Yep.
So you know how like there's the bat phone.
Yeah. What movie is that from?
If either of us dare to ever swim outside of the flags and actually have an opinion as opposed to report news, I haven't reported news for 6 years. Kane is going to ring on this phone, and we're just going to absolutely. I know it's still ringing. I know he's hanging. So I'm just going to take it.
Okay.
Yes, Kane. Well, I thought I'd have a strong opinion. It's about. Yeah. Would I be up? Okay. Just once. Thank you. All right, mate. Enjoy your agenda setters. Bye.
So Kane is on standby. We've got to run every opinion by him.
Well, just the big ones.
Okay. The controversial ones. What's your controversial take on Chad?
Chad's like a really good player. Really, really good player. And his top end is probably as good as it gets, I would say.
Not many players can change the fortunes of a game in 10 minutes like Chad Warner.
Yeah, that's right. So I would have his top end up there with the best that we've seen in the last 20 years. I'm talking like Dangerfield, Ablett, Cripps, Fife good. That's how good his top end is. He's got to stop going missing when the game's on the line though. Mm-hmm. Happened again on the weekend.
Yep.
He started like a house on fire. Like he was just like I was like, blank check, give him whatever you want to get to your club, right? But then when the game was on the line and, Gold Coast kicked 12 goals in a row, where's Chad? Not sure. I'm just saying.
Yep.
So he's got 2 years at really good money. His next deal, if he's going to get 7, 8, 9 years, whatever, these ridiculous contracts that get thrown around, if he's going to get that if he wants to be the highest paid player in the competition,
yep.
If he wants to be Nick Dacos, Harley Reid, Marcus Bontempelli from 5 years ago, he's got to get that out of his game.
Yep.
That's all.
Okay, yep.
Not sure if that was too controversial or not. Are you done? Anyone else on your whiteboard? Are you adding anyone today?
No, are you?
No, but I've got some things to talk about.
Well, go. I want to talk about something off the back of that too.
Oscar Allen, our man.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Did Andrew McQualter did a Dennis Pagan to Brendan Favola. Remember when they sent Fev back? Do you remember who they were playing against and who he played on? This will test your knowledge. And Scotty as full enough, I would.
Fraser Gehrig.
Well done.
Kicked 6.5.
Yeah, I reckon. Did he kick 10 that day? He definitely. I remember him being on 6 or 7 at half time, and the vision of Fev being sent full back and Gehrig just absolutely roasting him was pretty fun. And as soon as I saw Oscar Allen start back, I was like, oh boy. But he has played back before.
Yeah,
I know. So it's interesting that like decision making behind closed doors is often very different to the product and the optics at the other end. So, for instance, Andrew McQualter, I'm assuming, obviously didn't go into that decision trying to punish him.
No, not at all.
If anything, he was probably trying to get some confidence in him. The ball's not going forward for the West Coast Eagles very often, so let's throw him back. Let's get him in the game. He's our captain. Maybe it'll help change his fortunes. Maybe it'll help change our fortunes.
And as Sam Mitchell pointed out, there's some young key forwards of the Eagles they're trying to get some games into, like Archer Reed.
But it just ended up doing the opposite.
Yeah,
and it ended up making the whole situation seem a little bit embarrassing.
But that's another layer to it.
Watching Chol take marks on him and kick goals on him with the greatest amount of respect to Marbior Chol, who's an excellent role player for the Hawks.
Yeah.
It was just, I felt a bit dirty watching it, and I felt a bit sad for Oscar Allen.
Yeah.
So to me, that was the final nail going into the coffin of Oscar leaving West Coast.
That's it. Done.
Well, it's a long way back from here, isn't it?
Yeah. I maintain who is going to pay him band one guaranteed money.
Yeah, you've been strong on this.
So unlike Joe Danaher, and just to remind people, when the deal went through, you didn't have to stump up the length. So the length of contract was never coming into the compensation formula. Now it does. Who out there is going to offer this guy 5 or 6 years at over $850 a year, guaranteed? Now, when the fantasy compensation comes in, the contract could hit $1.1 million, but the AFL only take into account, or so they tell us, the guaranteed money when it comes to a free agent. And with his body and the way he's performing right now, there is no way you could guarantee him $850 a year if you're doing the best for your footy club.
Yep, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. I don't have anything to add to that. It's a really interesting one, but it just seems unlikely it's going to be at West Coast.
Speaking on the Eagles, we all talk about long-term deals and, 6-7 year deals get, ripped apart. What about the Elliot Yeo deal last year? So he was into his 30s last year.
Uh-huh.
He signed a 3-year deal because the Crows came hard for him.
And Gold Coast.
Gold Coast did?
Yep.
Yep. Was that not the year before? They were
sorry, you were right. I beg your pardon. That was the year before.
So we're talking about a guy who, going through his history of recent games, so back to 2020, played 10 games, 2021, 12 games, 2022, 5 games, 2023, 10 games. And the Eagles decided for a guy who turned 31 last October to give him a 3-year deal. And we're yet to see him right now. So I just wanted to point out this deal. So he's signed for 3 more years. It's essentially a 69-game contract. We're 7 games in. He hasn't played one. There's no timeline on his return. He's had ankle and knee setbacks this pre-season. It's probably one that's just gone a little bit under the radar.
You're right.
And we all talk about 5, 6, 7-year contracts and rip them apart. But this is a 3-year deal for a guy who's 31. It's starting to get on the nose a little bit at the Eagles.
Good one.
Should we play the Andrew McQualter audio as well from the press conference? So we pointed out last week about the river walk that he had with...
No, don't bring me into this. This is all you. You broke this story, and it got so much cut through. It got so much cut through that your story basically went straight to the coach in a press conference in WA.
Well, let's see how the week unfolded.
Is it true that you bumped into Sam Mitchell on the River Torrens in Adelaide and went for the stroll?
It is true, yeah. It's look, I've known Mitch for a long time, and this is pure coincidence. We went out, I was out for a walk, and we literally crossed paths. So we've known for a long time, so we just went for a walk and chatted about life.
You take us inside what you talked about at all?
No, I'm not going to talk the details. It's nothing heavy. We just spoke about some things that we'll keep between us.
So I would have loved a question there about Oscar Allen, specifically. Was it about Oscar Allen? Because that river walk was only a week or two after Sam Mitchell flew the length of the country.
Obviously got brought up. Had to have,
yeah, the elephant in the room. And then Andrew McQualter on the weekend. This is one of the press conference moments of the year. I know you don't get to too many press conferences nowadays.
It'd be nasty.
But Andrew McQualter, the Eagles have been belted again. Or
50 points, yeah.
Yeah.
They were competitive.
Yeah.
But Hawthorn kicked terribly, yep.
Yeah. Hawthorn had one cue in the rack at half time.
They did.
Had a cue in the rack at half time. And this is Andrew McQualter when he was asked about Tom Barras, the ex-Eagle, who Sam Mitchell moved to full forward late in the game.
What did you make of them sending Tom Barras to full forward at the start of the last quarter?
Big pause.
I probably shouldn't say it because I don't know what was going on in their team, to be honest. But that's their prerogative, I suppose.
Why the long pause?
No, I just don't know. I haven't seen Tom Barras play forward too often in his career.
There's a long pause around Barras going forward. Is that because you found it a little disrespectful?
I'm not going to speak to what the Hawks do in their decision making.
Great stuff.
Love it. Mitch Woodcock there, asking the questions.
Yep.
My only query on that is, if Andrew McQualter's playing Oscar Allen at fullback, what's stopping Sam Mitchell moving Tom Barras to full forward?
Yeah, I think there's a bit of that. I thought it was great. It was great fodder for us.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that he got asked, and I love the fact that he answered completely honestly.
Yeah.
He could have just given some bullshit answer and moved on, but he's just like, well, he was clearly a bit annoyed about it. But he's also, I think, smart enough to know that they've probably got bigger problems, right?
Yeah.
So I thought it was a really honest answer, and I loved it. The other one I want to talk about on my whiteboard is James Worpel.
Yes.
So, the massacre at the MCG in the centre square on Sunday was quite overwhelming. I mean, I knew that Carlton, obviously that's their strength. And I know that Geelong, have been going after guys in that area to try to build it. But, Bailey Smith's a very good player. Max Holmes is a very good player. Like, it's not as though they have no one in there.
Yeah.
And they were just torched. So it speaks to why they went so hard at Clayton Oliver at the end of last year. And while
is that still alive?
I think they'll probably have another sniff around. But, and this is meant as no disrespect at all to James Worpel, but I think a cheaper version of Oliver would be him.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's sort of, this feels like Bailey Smith from last year. Like I think that deal's done.
Right.
I think that James Worpel has all but agreed to life at Geelong.
Jeez. That's pretty strong for round 6.
I'm not moving it. I'm not doing a Scotty and moving it off yet, but it's.
Warple will be in the hoops next year.
I think so.
Okay. They've been into him for some time because he's the Geelong Lynx, Bannockburn boy.
Yep.
Big family. A lot of his family still live down that way.
Do you know everyone in Geelong?
No. Not. Geelong's bigger than people think.
Yeah, but every time Geelong comes up, you seem to sort of like.
No.
You know everyone.
You always know someone who knows someone.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just like it's big, but it's not that big.
So you think Geelong's out because they wouldn't be committed to Warple if they had Rao on the hook? We think Rao is more likely to stay?
They'd be able to fit. But I think Rao's staying for 2 more years.
Yeah. Bit like the Warner one.
Yeah, I think so.
2 more years of free agency.
Yeah.
Geez, that's a good draft, Rao and Warner.
And also, is that 2019? Is that Rao Anderson year?
Well, they're both into their 6th year now.
Yeah. I want to talk about the 2019 draft a little bit later.
Okay.
Yep.
So you think Warple, Smith and Holmes is the future for that Geelong midfield?
Yeah. How is my man Basilinger doing, by the way?
Quite well.
Yeah. Is he a better player than Max Holmes?
I'm still on the Max Holmes.
I understand
side
that,
of
but
things.
right now you're losing. Is that fair?
Where would the BNF? The BNF finish will be interesting this year.
Bailey would have quite a few Brownlow votes as well.
My only query is,
here we go.
Are clubs putting more time into Max because he's more damaging with the ball than Bailey? So Max seems to get the more heavy attention. Bailey's ball use on the weekend let him down.
I hear this argument a fair bit. And whilst I agree that Bailey's ball use isn't up to the standard of someone like a Max Holmes,
Yeah.
I think that people like using it as an excuse.
Okay. Yeah, right.
So let me just say this. If you think about, if I was to ask you who are the best 5 midfielders of the last 20 years, right? And if you just sort of reeled off 5 or 6,
Judd.
I'd say more than half of them weren't great kicks.
Yeah. Fife was never known as an amazing kick.
Well, hang on. Let's just be honest about it. We're honest on this pod. Fife wasn't a good kick.
That's what I said.
Chris Judd, my favourite player of all time, maybe my favourite human of all time, wasn't a great kick. Gary Ablett was a good kick.
Yep.
Who else are we missing here, Scotty? Patrick Dangerfield is not a good kick.
Yeah.
Wait, who am I missing? I know I'm missing some really good players.
Dusty was a good kick. Did you mention him?
Dustin Martin was a good kick.
Yeah. So Bailey Smith on the weekend had 29 disposals, 3 score involvements.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a high ratio.
How many? But what do you have, like 500 metres gained?
Yeah, but it doesn't help if you 750 metres game.
That's
But if
huge.
you're kicking it back to the opposition.
I just think the whole sort of like he turns the ball over thing is a bit of a cop out. I'd rather the blokes who win the footy burst forward and get it forward.
Max Holmes has got a bit of burst. Anyway.
He hasn't got Bailey Smith burst. No, he doesn't. Scotty, as the independent Geelong arbiter here.
I lean towards you, Sam, in that Bailey Smith is having a better year.
Thank you. That's it. That's all.
I'm just saying.
No, that's it.
Okay. No, I'm just saying.
Continue.
It is a great conversation, but I think Maxi's struggling at the moment to like play the full 4 quarters where Baz is really starting to really.
We'll have to take this conversation to Hoops Radio or whatever that.
Let's be honest about this. You were completely off Baz Linker until he came to
Not
Geelong.
at all.
You were completely off him.
I like Baz Lenker.
You laughed at me when I kept talking about him last year.
You were talking about him like he'd be a 4-time All-Australian.
No, I wasn't. I was talking about him as a very, very good player, to which I have been proven correct.
Is he in the All-Australian team right now?
Oh, that's a good question. Should we call Kane?
He's on the selection committee.
That's why I said it, Mitchell. Thank you.
No, but how many of our audience would know that? I just thought
Okay.
I just wanted to spell it home. Marcus Bontempelli, 2 games back.
The Bond?
Still uncontracted.
Yep.
I just want to talk about his contract value because when he was out as a 30-year-old with a calf injury, he had no leverage at the negotiation table with the Western Bulldogs. But now he's come back and played 2 blinders. He does have that. Sounds simple. I know you're laughing, but I think this can ramp up now because there's no Bond. It would have been bad business to go into that contract negotiation with a dodgy calf as a 30-year-old, an 8-week calf, by the way. So now he's got 2 under his belt. he can at least go to the negotiation table and have the whip hand.
Can I tell you a quick aside story about someone that I know who is in the media?
Name them.
No, I'm not going to name them because this is personal. And when it came to contract negotiations, this person was so wanted by the company that he was working for that the big boss would take him out for lunch at the end of a contract year. And at the end of the lunch, he would literally take out a piece of paper and a pen, take the paper over to him and say, just write down a number. I don't want to know what it is. I'm going to go pay the bill and I'm going to leave and just send that number to my PA and that'll be it. That's Bont with the Bulldogs. Like when Amit Baines and Sam Power take Bont out for lunch wherever they go, View de Monde, or is View de Monde still a thing? In fact, Bont wouldn't be a View de Monde guy. Bont would be very much like is he driving an old Hilux and lives in Kew, and so he'd be
taking him out to his own milk bar.
Yeah,
Arthur's.
Centonove is a nice little wine bar in Kew. Like it'd be Amit Baines has to take out the checkbook and just write Marcus Bontempelli and give him a pen and walk away. Just walk away. And whatever he wants to be paid, he gets paid.
But what if you're Marcus Bontempelli's shoes and you're thinking, well, if I take 200 grand less, it might help us get Zach Butters? Are you at that conversation and have that stage in your career?
But that's up to Marcus, though.
That's what I mean. So,
but that's what I'm saying. He can dictate whatever he wants to be paid.
Yeah.
If he thinks, well, I want to be paid 800, so you can go and get Zach Butters, well, then write down 800. But if you want 1.6, write down 1.6. He's earned that right at that footy club. He's carried them on his shoulders.
Yep.
He's earned that right.
Yep. Any more on your man, Zach Butters?
No. Why? Have you got more?
No, he's just been very forthright in the last couple of weeks when he's spoken a couple of times saying,
about what?
Saying that I've got a big decision to make.
Well, he does.
Yeah, but he's talking.
We started that conversation here on Tradies.
He's talking more about the end of next year, but do you think it could be a live conversation?
Oh, no, it's definitely
for this
live
year?
now.
For this year, yeah.
I would say the favourite, like him and Harley Reid, I would say the favourite would be them both playing for their clubs next year.
Yeah,
they're going to have huge offers thrown at them at the end of this year. That's just a fact.
Yeah, and Port have more control in the conversation now because he's contracted, whereas next year he'll be a free agent.
Yep.
They'll be Port's salary cap. They'll be able to match any deal next year. But his value is sky high now.
Can I just do a very mini nuts and bolts?
Yep.
Just because Friday night is the rip snorter between St Kilda and Fremantle after the hugely attended game at Marvel Stadium on Thursday between Essendon and North Melbourne.
Fascinating game. Thursday night footy.
Oh, I see. Because you're on Thursday night footy. Yeah. Oh, well, you'll be making up a third of the crowd, which will be good. So I went and had a look last night in the wee hours of the morning.
Family Guy, were you watching?
No, I was watching one of the Bourne movies, actually. The second one, Bourne Supremacy. No, hang on, Bourne Supremacy. It's a good movie. It is a good movie. When the girlfriend gets shot in India off the bridge. Anyway, digress. The Brad Hill trade back in the day, 2019, I thought to myself, I wonder, because I feel like the Saints gave a lot for him, but they also, it was at that time where the Saints were, weren't that an attractive club to come to. They weren't a destination team. So Brad Hill was making...
You talk about them like they're all of a sudden a destination club now.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to be respectful. He was still contracted at Fremantle. They only gave pick 25 for him from the Hawks, which sort of goes underrated in the end.
He was a three-time premiership player.
Three-time premiership player. Goes to the Dockers, decides for family reasons that he wants to come home. And... the Saints had the salary cap to be able to pay him. It was more than $900,000 a year. Do you remember what they gave for him off the top of your head? I know it's a question without notice, but because they ended up giving a fair bit.
It was at least a first rounder. I think was Blake Acres tied up in that deal.
Yep. Well done. Good memory. So Blake Acres went.
I think Blake Acres, I don't know if we've done it as a nuts and bolts, but he was in the gym at St Kilda and got a call from his manager.
Yep.
And said, out you go. You're off.
But he didn't want to go.
Not initially.
No. And he only did a medical at Freo very, very late in the piece. This is all what I was learning halfway through the Bourne Supremacy at about 1:45 in the morning. So they gave Acres Pick 10, pick 58 wasn't used. A future fourth, which wasn't used, and a future second, which ended up being Samson Ryan. I'm not sure how that ended up being. That ended up happening. Pick 10 of the 2019 draft. Do you remember who that was?
No.
I'll give you a clue. He is on your whiteboard.
Well, it won't be Warner because he was picked in the 30s or 40s. Rao was early. Naz was later. Cozzy Pickett. So it would have got shuffled back a couple because I think he was picked 12 or 13.
I think it ended up being pick 12.
Okay.
Yep. So this is where with my brain at sort of like 30% full functionality. Mm-hmm. Not that it's flying at 100%. I couldn't for the life of me work out like that pick ended up being traded like 4 times, I think, and I ended up getting such a bad headache trying to work out exactly what had happened. But the irony, Mitchell, that pick ended up being Cozzy Pickett, who is now, according to you, and you've been leading the charge on this, considering a move back to Perth.
Yep.
Like they ended up.
He was actually drafted out of SA.
Yep. Yeah, but he's got family in Perth. Yeah, yep. Can you shed some light on that with your little supercomputer there as to what ended up happening in 2019? Because the Dockers ended up having a great draft.
So the journey of pick 10, it started with Port.
Okay.
Port and St Kilda did that deal with, remember, Paddy Ryder and Dougal Howard?
Yes.
So the Saints have it at that point. The Saints then on trade it to Fremantle as part of that deal for Acres, Bradley Hill.
Yep.
And then pick 10 finds its way to Melbourne via a deal, pick 10 and 28 for pick 8. So Fremantle with pick 8 took Caleb Sarong. Melbourne picked up 2 premiership players, Cozzy Pickett.
Luke Jackson.
And Trent Rivers.
Oh, and Jackson was in that draft as well, wasn't he? Wasn't Jackson pick 3?
Jackson was pick 3. That was the year that Melbourne had that real dip. It was off the back. Remember they had
So great draft for Melbourne.
Yep.
And great draft for Freo.
Yep.
Because they got Sarong and then they got Hayden Young and they got Liam Henry.
Yep.
Who's now obviously back at St Kilda. The irony there as well. So that trade in the end ended up having quite a significant impact on the competition, didn't it? Brad Hill coming back, who's been a good player for St Kilda, but in the end, I mean, it's so easy in hindsight, right? Looking 6 years later, they just would have been better going to the draft.
And for extra context, Melbourne did a deal with North Melbourne to originally get that pick 8 that became Caleb Sarong. So Melbourne did a deal to trade into the draft, and they shuffled back a couple of picks and they got Cozzy.
Okay, this is where
this is not great podcasting.
This is
whiteboard.
My head just explodes. We need
someone out there would have got it.
We need a separate whiteboard for like Mitch to do all his algorithms and how
I've got a bit of micro Mitch actually.
How that draft worked. Anyway, that was just a mini nuts and bolts when you're watching Brad Hill run around for Freo on Friday night, and then you're watching the likes of Sarong. Just know that they're intrinsically tied.
Speaking to Saints, we haven't spoken Tom De Koning for a couple of weeks. What has gone through Tom's head? Not that we can speak for him, but what do we think has gone through his head in the last 3 weeks? Carlton
hasn't been a great 3 weeks for the Saints.
Saints have lost to Brisbane, the Bulldogs. They were belted on Easter Sunday, and they fell away against the Giants in Norwood. Mm. Carlton has beaten Geelong in front of more than 65,000 at the MCG on a Sunday. Mm. Beaten North Melbourne on Good Friday. Mm. Pants them, really. And
West Coast in
we're too good for West Coast.
Yeah. I still think it's 50-50.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of money, and it's not as though Carlton are absolutely flying. It is a lot of money. Hey, on De Koning and those beautiful blonde locks that he has, it did remind me of a scene from one of the great sport movies in Moneyball when they're at the drafting table. Let's take a listen.
Matty, who do you got?
I like Geronimo.
Yes.
Guy's an athlete, big, fast, talented.
Top of my list.
Clean cut, good face.
Yeah, good jaw.
5 tools guy. Good-looking ball player.
Can he hit?
Yeah, he's got a beautiful swing, right, Barry?
The ball explodes off his bat.
He throws the club head at the ball, and when he connects, he drives it. It pops off the bat. You can hear it all over the ballpark.
A lot of pop coming off the bat.
And it's effort.
If he's a good hitter, why doesn't he hit good?
He is a good hitter.
Minor leaguer. He'll be ready.
Yeah, so he's going to be a good hitter when we put him up against big league guys.
Could be a great hitter.
I don't think so. Artie, who do you like?
I like Perez. He's got a classic swing. It's real clean stroke.
I don't know. Can't hit the curveball.
Well, there's some work to be done. I'll admit that.
Yeah,
but
there is.
He's noticeable.
Got an ugly girlfriend.
What's that mean?
Ugly girlfriend means no confidence.
Okay.
Oh, no, you guys are full of it. Artie is right. This guy's got an attitude. An attitude is good.
It's a great scene. And it's, I don't know a whole lot about baseball, but from the people that I speak to, apparently, the whole look of a player and, how the ball bounces off their bat and all that sort of stuff, their attitude, it all comes into it. It's very an American thing. But it did get me, and De Koning's different because he's shown as a player that he's an absolute star, but he has got that look.
Yeah.
That surfer boy look of a guy that you just think, you look at him and you're like, oh my God.
And when he's at a contest too.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's so noticeable.
Yeah.
But
he pings around in there and
it's a question without notice, not necessarily for you because I don't want to put you on the spot, but for our tradies community, our listeners out there, our brethren, who are the guys that maybe have a reputation of being a good player, but don't necessarily show it as much? And this happens...
Looks or just reputation?
No, it can be anything. It can be anything. It can be the reputation. It can be their attitude. It can be the way that they look. Is it different? There's one that comes to mind for me, and he's young, and so I just want to do some more work, and I want to let him play a few more games. But I just think that maybe his physical attributes overcompensate for what he achieves on the field.
Okay, this is going to be a game of who am I? Is he Victorian-based or out of Victoria?
He doesn't play for a Victorian team, but that's all I'm going to give you. That's all I'm going to give you. And it was the second time across the weekend that I thought about Moneyball. Because there's another scene in Moneyball, I don't know if you remember it. So Brad Pitt doesn't go to the games, remember, because he thinks he's cursed. And then his daughter rings him to say congratulations, and she's like, where are you? And he's like, I'm driving to get supplies for our junior team or something. And she's like, Dad, just turn around, you're not going to jinx it. And he turns on the radio and they're up 11-0. And he gets to the ground and I'm not sure exactly what happens. I was trying to remember it from last night. But I think someone misfields it the first thing he gets there, and then the opposition scores 2 more runs, and it ends up going to 11-11. But he left straight away after the misfield because he thinks he's...
Yeah.
So I have a similar thing with this.
Carlton games?
Well, no, with anything. And I've got mates who punt on horses quite a bit, and will say, please, I'm backing this horse, please don't back it, because if you back it, it will start running backwards, which is often a thing. Anyway, I was walking on Saturday morning to Toorak Park, and I got to the ground, and Xavier were playing St Kevin's. I think it was Prem 1 thirds, and it was 47-2, old Zav's way. And I took a photo and sent it to my mates. I got a lot of St Kevin's mates. And in the time it took Diva and I to do one lap, St Kevin's kicked three goals. And Xavier basically didn't touch it. And I was like, oh no. And so I left. St Kevin's did not kick another goal for the entire game. Xavier won 120-20.
You're cursed.
I can't go, I'm just calling out to the people out there. If you need something stopped, or if you need someone to lose, send me.
All right. Sam's a gun for hire.
Yeah. I could stop a train if I needed to. That is how bad I am at tipping. Anything.
Maybe the conversation we just had about the looks of a player and the reputation that precedes them, maybe it's best for the live show on Saturday.
Oh! Are you saying that I'm going to have to out my man?
Ooh. Yes.
Is it the live show, Scotty? Is it getting recorded?
No.
Oh, good. Okay, I'll do it.
A bit like the Beehive last year.
I'm
Allow us to talk a bit more freely. Can I just leave you with a micro Mitch? This stuff fascinates me. Player managers and the movement of players. Now, I know that for 95% of the community, no one gives a shit who the player is managed by and where they're moving.
God, I love it when you swear. It just really gets me going.
But there's a new player manager on the scene, James Jarvis, who's been in clubland for 10 years as an opposition analyst. He works in analysis and opposition analysis for Port Adelaide and Essendon. He's now out of clubland and into player management, and he's landed 2 new clients in the first couple of weeks, Dan Houston of Collingwood and Zach Reid. So he had connection with Dan Houston from Port and Zach Reid from his time at Essendon.
So Dan Houston has left the Connor stables.
That is my belief.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, it's just...
after they did the trade for him.
Yeah, so they'll still cash in the deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, just thought that was worth noting.
Very micro from you.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to James Jarvis.
He's into the market.
Okay. So are you going to drop something on the live show? If I'm gonna potentially impugn my reputation,
Like news
more,
or
yeah, you're gonna give us.
the news comes here for the main show.
Yeah, but you need to bring something for our 100+ guests.
All right, I'll work on something.
I am very excited for
pumped.
Saturday.
I just get a great vibe down there.
Yes. Yeah, it's a great vibe. I had the cheeseburger again after you left on Sunday.
Geelong Collingwood, massive game.
Huge game.
Get the tram. If you need to find out where it is, just type in Rod Laver Arena and the tram will take you right there to the doorstep.
Yep. And you can go and watch the game at the G and then go home and watch the election. On Nine, who will be doing an amazing special election coverage.
More of an ABC operator.
You're an ABC operator, Scotty.
Mark Riley's got it sorted on 7.
Anthony Green's last year.
Mark Riley was very good in the debate on Sunday.
I like locking in on the election.
ABC?
I do usually, but
I never saw Scotty as an ABC guy. Is that
Anthony Green guy?
And what?
Is it Anthony Green?
Anthony Green.
Our traders listeners
are like,
he is him. Election.
What is happening? Okay, we'll get the link. Get the tickets in our bio. I'm not on Instagram. I don't know what to say. What do you say?
Instagram bio, show notes on Spotify or Apple, wherever you get the show.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Buy your tickets there.
$10, get a pot.
$10, get a pot. We'll see you at 5 o'clock. I'm actually, if anyone wants to get down there slightly early, I'm not sure if Carla and Tim are set up for this, but I'm getting there at 4 to watch Carlton play Adelaide.
That'd be a good game.
It could be a 0-0 draw. The two biggest downhill skiers in the comp. Trying to find a mountain to ski down.
I like it.
The Thrill Seeker.
Will he play?
I don't know. He hasn't thrilled me a lot yet this year.
It's good early.
Bit of Chad Warner about the Seeker. A little bit of Chad.
Jeez.
Thanks for joining us. We're brought to you by St Andrews Beach Brewery. We will see you there on Saturday, and make sure you stick around for Just Quickly and the Air Raid.